Hi everybody. Just trying to get my phone set up. Hello, Will. Glad you're here. I had some troubles. Hi Sigrid, welcome. Trying to get my little setup just right. Think I'm there? Yeah, good enough. I'm trying with the landscape. So good morning, happy Monday, or good afternoon or evening or whatever time you're watching this. Ozel Deglow is here. So really, I'm bone tired today. I'm really tired. I did a lot of painting. I painted a room yesterday and accidentally went on a too long hike when what we thought was a loop wasn't a loop, and we had to go back. So I'm really exhausted. And then I had a beer last night, which now I feel everywhere. So I want to offer a really simple mindfulness tool, and it's an acronym, and the acronym spells RAIN, R-A-I-N, and recognizing what's here. That's the R, recognize. I'm tired, I'm fatigued, stiff, I'm low, little listless. And the A, to accept that. Like, this is what's here, I'm gonna work with it. I'm not gonna deny it or resist it or try to override it. So recognizing and allowing, and then inquiring around the phenomenon, and something as simple as fatigue. Like I already told you how I inquired about it, but if it was other less obvious or maybe more complex emotions like sadness or anger or resentment or whatever, some inquiry around the roots of that could be helpful. So getting some information from the feeling. So recognizing this is here, allowing what's here to be here, maybe doing some inquiry around what is up with the current state of your feeling body. And then the last letter N, not attaching. So like something like fatigue, again, for me, it's easy to not see that I'm like, oh, I'm a tired person. There is fatigue here, and I'm gonna work with it. Again, another complex, maybe more uncomfortable emotion like sadness or anger or resentment, etc. To not, again, identify with the feeling state of the phenomenon, and allow it to be an aspect of your experience, but not a lens you look through all day, hopefully, and not a mood that you take on or any kind of identifying label or overlay. So include all your parts, all your emotions, all the phenomena that's here, and let's see what we can do with it. For today's practice, a belt for sure. I'm going to use a bolster and a blanket, a couple blocks maybe. So have the blocks. If you do not have a bolster, big couch pillows or a couple of folded blankets or a pile of folded towels can work. And so if you do not have a bolster for this first setup, you could take your two blocks and lay them end to end on their flat side, and then put a folded blanket over it. So then you have something very much like a bolster. But if you have all the gear, I invite you to please set your bolster crossways on your mat, and then with the blanket from like standard rectangle, fold it in half lengthwise one more time so you've got a long skinny rectangle. Have your belt nearby, and land your pelvis on the bolster. And I'm catching my shoulders on the blanket for a few reasons. Just make sure I stay on screen here. Okay. I'm guessing that we are all spending more time sitting, maybe more time on the computer. So more flexing of the hips, more rounding forward, more head hanging forward. So this is a gentle effort for me to start with simply unfolding the hips and letting my head be back. Letting my head not be in front of my body. You don't have to use shoulder support. I'm just doing it because I think it's going to feel good for me. Let your feet be as wide as your sticky. Pelvis is squarely on the bolster. And if you need to fudge that, as I am now, a little bit more or less in your lumbar, you figure out what works best for you. Feet as wide as the sticky and let your knees knock together. In fact, I'm going to kick my feet a little wider than my sticky mat. I'm on the inner edges of my feet. And then bring your forearms together in front of your face. And this is about the shoulder blades spreading apart. So feel for that dynamic. And then reaching the 10 fingers like past your head towards the floor overhead and behind you. And that'll send the shoulder blades further apart. Wing them wide. And then bring your elbows back in line with your shoulders where they started. And take your bent elbow arms out to the side. And if you're using a folded blanket, it could be such that the blanket catches the upper arms and the elbows are suspended a little in the air and the backs of the hands are on the floor. So the elbows are kicked a little bit forward of the hands, which is helpful to bring the tops of the shoulder blades back behind you. Recognize. For me, I'm like, oh, this feels good. Allowing, I'm going to allow the goodness. Inquiring, yeah, this is a choice I want to make. And this non-attaching step, it doesn't change my day. It doesn't change anything other than what's here now. So, okay. Nice, easy, soft, billowy breaths. Keep that up. Keep those long, soft, sweet breaths up. And then right knee, you keep the feet wide, but swing the right knee up and over to the right. Now I'm actually going to pick up my right heel and swing it towards the midline. So it made it easier for me to externally rotate my right leg with my feet so wide apart. So basically make it so right leg is turned out, left leg is turned in. So for me, this brings a little more turning internal of left leg and getting a little bit of groin length, right side. Start to reach the arms further overhead, backs of hands, maybe they can stay on the floor. If the arms need to hover for shoulder safety, let that happen. And then pushing with the inner edge of your left foot, feel how that'll float the left hip up, squeezing, firming up the outer glutes. Engage it, let it go, engage it, let it go. So there's this rocking of the pelvis. And then I invite you to go ahead and push all the way onto your right side. Hopefully your hips are still on the bolster. Head is sandwiched between the two arms. You could turn left chest further to the floor and get a bigger twist. And then maybe with those left toes, reach the leg back, straightening the knee. My foot's coming a little off the floor, left foot. Yours may or may not. And let the reach of those left toes pull you back onto your back. Rebend the two knees, knock the knees together, readjust your position on your props. Other side, left knee swings left, and then that little adjustment of the foot, kick the heel in towards the midline to make turning of the leg out easier since the thighs or the legs are abducted. And then allow that right knee to fall a little more towards the floor. Internal rotation, and add the pressure of the inner foot. Oh, let's stretch the arms long. And in your mind, it's like from right knee to fingerprints. How much length? How much reach? How much spread? And then pushing with the inner edge of your right foot to roll on over. Head can be sandwiched between the arms or tip more the chest. Your right arm can come down in front of you to support you more and reach through the right toes. Maybe the right leg straightens. Maybe it hovers. Maybe it lands. Really squeeze the leg muscles, however. Turn those on. Build a little heat around the legs with simple muscular engagement. And let the reach of the leg, the toes, pour you onto your pelvis. Reorganize the two knees bent, feet on floor, arms wide, knees knocked together. Okay, then here, if you need to adjust where your hips are on the bolster, great. Stretch your two legs straight, long on the floor. I'm going to take arms reciprocally overhead, full body stretch with this little bit of extra lengthening through the front of you. Keep left leg there. Bring right knee in, hug it in. Hug it in. So if a deep squeeze of your right leg buoys your left leg off the floor, left heel off the floor, you could work with that, right? I would encourage you to work the floating leg strong and put some intentionality in it, not just letting it hang off your pelvis, but you punch through the heel or the toes like a sword or a laser beam and really reach it. You could also have a little bend in the knee and make the foot flat to the floor, whatever works for you. Let's do this much on the other side. Whenever you're ready, you switch. You know, if you're not used to working with a soft prop under your hips, and if you have any amount of, flesh and fat and muscle, there's a whole sort of host of squishiness behind you to work out. Go ahead and, shove it around, tuck and untuck. That's fine. Just dealing with what's here and making it work for you as best as you can. Isn't that always the case? The macro is much the same as the micro, and the opposite is true. First side again, but this time catch your belt. If your belt is long enough, I like the 10-foot belts, as I think you probably know, then you could thread or wrap the two sides of the belt long through your hands and take your arms overhead. If it's a little belt, short belt, 4 or 6 feet, make a little loop at the end and put it over your foot, right? Loop the belt, put it over your foot, and then you can take the one the one strap overhead with your hands. Now, if your shoulders don't love the overhead business, then just work your strap more conventionally. One side of the strap in each hand and have your hands towards the feet. And now I've got the strap hooked on my foot just proximal to the ball mounds, meaning the belt is closer to my center than the ball mounds. So it's not at the heel, it's not deep in the arch, it's more towards the ball mound. So it creates like a little wedge or fulcrum. And as you hold the belt, however you're holding it, can you use the belt like a fulcrum? I mean, it feels like I could sort of push on a gas pedal here. And invite more of your toes to reach, or more of the skin of the top of the foot to reach towards the ceiling. So it's a long way to say point your toes. But it's not just pointing your toes. I mean, it could be. But could you invite more flesh from, say, your knee to your toenails to lengthen through the loop of the belt and towards the ceiling? So much you might get a foot cramp, which is exciting. And then the opposite, so peel the toes back towards your face. And if you've really got it on the ball mounds, it should stay hooked there. And then maybe toggle between the two. A slow plantar flexion and a slow dorsiflexion. Second side. You could step left foot up, catch it in the loop, put right foot down, or put both feet down, pause, and then regroup. Aiming to place the belt in that handy little curve just this side of the ball mounds. So your most distal arch, the furthest part of your arch before you get to your toe knuckles. And then that invitation to lengthen the front leg flesh up long through the loop. And I get some really profound feedback on the front of my ankle, front of my shin. You know, and if you don't ever really point your toes or wear high heels or sit on your shins, this could be significant biofeedback here. I do all those things. I don't wear high heels, I guess, very much, ever. And then dorsiflex. So now take the sole of the foot flesh and slide it towards your face, from heel to toe mounds to toe prints, sliding towards your face. And then maybe toggle through point and flex and point and flex. Remember, the bottom leg knee could be bent if you have a lot of sensation here. Okay. Both feet on floor, knock knees together, waggle feet wide apart. Once again, swing right knee open, externally rotate right leg. Push with inner left foot to roll onto your right side. And I'm making a little upper body adjustment here so the blanket's catching my side ribs, a little bit armpit, and my head can rest on my hand here. And then what I'd like you to do is stack left knee on top of right knee, and then both my knees have sort of fallen to the floor. And now unfurl your left side torso. So left shoulder blade, left arm are maybe landing on the blanket. My right arm is still a little more overhead. back of head on floor. So a little extra spread and release across left side waist, left side hip. And then from here, can you swing left knee up, waggle or walk left foot to the left, let it pull the right knee up, reorganize your torso. Both knees knocked together in the middle. Do a little knee waggle, and then let that left knee swing open. Push with the right foot. Take the left arm overhead and get a little extra length left side. Little extra length left side before you stack that right knee on the left. My knees fall to the floor. And then take the right shoulder back, right arm back. I get a lot of spread across my belly as well. It's a pretty open twist, belly open, the hips are not too compressed. So it's a little more back bendy, side bendy. If you need to adjust so you're comfortable, please do. Or riding the edge of discomfort skillfully so you can recognize, include, or allow, rather, and then inquire as to, is this working for me? And if it's not, don't attach to that. Doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just may not be the move for you. And then swing the right knee back and up. Reset the shoulders and the feet. And then this time, feet in the middle, legs right together. Pick your hips up and swing them over to the left. So now your hips are offset. Let your knees fall into your chest and then take the knees over to the right. So the knees and most of the shins should land on the bolster here. Should land on the bolster. So it's a little more compact twist, and it might be concentrated more into the side hip than the previous twist, which was more side waist, maybe chest. And then I invite you to start to circle or sweep your left arm towards the overhead, not to the ceiling, but the wall that's overhead. So maybe it grazes on the floor. And then a little push with the back of your head and your right shoulder to roll onto your right side. Now here, actually, I want you to come a little bit out of the pose. Catch the blanket if you're using one. Fold it in half lengthwise again. And bring it a little bit higher, or rather further from your bolster. So now your head can be on it, and the shoulder can be on the floor and not get smashed up. So I'm just going to flip over so you guys can see. All right, and so we're here. Hi. You might need to grab your belt, because I'd like you to take your left leg long and put it in your hands, left foot in your left hands, or the belt in your left hand. And begin to feel into stretching your right leg. No, it's your left leg. Left leg long on the floor, straight down from your head. So, legs are split just like before, like a Supta Padangusthasana 1, tipped on its side, with height under the hips to get a little more side body. Now, in theory, the hips are stacked. I'd like to experiment with moving the right pelvic half. Right now, we're neutral rotation, we're turned in, we're on the midline. You could start to let your right butt cheek fall to the bolster behind you, turn right toes more to ceiling, externally rotate right leg and abduct the hips, and maybe abduct the right leg a little bit, swing it to the right, and then fold it all back up towards your left foot. So now right hip, right knee, right toes, point. Shit, it's your left leg. I'm so sorry. I flipped over. So now I've got my right and left. I told you I was tired. So the bottom leg, which I believe is your left leg, turn it out, Swing it out. And then hug it back in line with the body and turn it in. Couple times. And you can pause anywhere in this flow, this continuum, that feels like you want to spend more time. And at some point, when you turn that bottom leg, that left leg open, and you're more on the back of your sacrum, go ahead and let the right arm go to the right. The blanket roll should catch you in the back of your neck. And then it's like Supta Padangusthasana 2, or more maybe like a triangle pose, tipped over. Supta Uttita Trikonasana. I get a whole lot of spread through the front of my right hip, and I really welcome it. Left hip, rather. Down leg hip feels great. Feels great. When you're ready, a big exhale to bend both knees, both feet on floor, swing the hips back to the center. The blanket rolls behind your neck, and then feet into the floor, pick the hips up and swing the hips way over to the right side now. I'm doing the other side. Let the knees fall in and then tip them over to the left. So this twist. Ideally, the legs are right together, knees are stacked, inner ankle bones in contact, inner edge of the big toe mounds and the knees are clearly connected. And then when you're ready, bring that right arm up and over. And then the blanket fold is in your neck or head. Shoulder isn't too squishy. Step the top leg foot on the floor and stretch the bottom leg foot. So now you got your left foot in your hands or in the belt, and the right leg, the down leg is stretching towards the foot of your mat. Now this side's harder for me, so my down leg doesn't get to the floor right away. Ideally, that right hip is turned towards your left toes. Your legs are adducted for the moment. Neutral rotation and adduction. But then we have this choice to start to abduct the left leg, turn the hip open, and swing the left leg more to the left. A lot more distance between the 2 feet and between the 2 hip points. Oh, yum. And then turn it back. So fold that left hip over, fold your right hip over to the left again. And then unfold that right hip over to the right. So it creates a twist in the spine. Both hands holding belt or foot. And then fold it in, turn it in. And then unfold, turn it open. And when you're ready, the right arm and shoulder also turn open. So Supta Padangusthasana 2 with the bolster. The whole outside of my upper leg, left leg, is on the bolster. Belly open, neck supported, chest open. I love it. Yum, yum, yum. Personally, I love it. I hope you do too. And you don't have to. You don't even have to like it. It might be good for you. It might not. That's your inquiry part. Recognize, allow, inquire. Okay, bring it all back to the middle. I'm going to lose the blanket behind my neck, head, shoulder area. And then once again, recenter yourself on the bolster. Let both knees fall in, tip over to the right again. I'm tipping to my left so you can see. And then sit on up. Sit on up and keep that right bum on the bolster and have your right knee in front of you, right leg sort of like a pigeon leg or like a Sukhasana leg. You could certainly tuck the foot, right foot closer to you if you needed to. But because we've got this height, it's easier for me to keep the knee at 90 degrees. And then begin to stretch your left leg, your right leg. Oh crap, whatever leg is your back leg now. I think it's your left leg. Back, so it's like pigeon with front leg booty on a bolster. You could stay up. You could bend down. You could toggle between the two, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to roll up, snaky-like, and then heart leads the way down. I have to step my hands a little forward. And then cat pose, drop the tail, roll up. And then like the cow, the heart leads, go down. Now I'm going to do it towards the knee, towards the right knee, so a little more spinal action, twisting, side bending, still rolling. Waving through cat-cow. Big breath. I'm going to wave my cat-cow over my knee here for a few more, because it feels profoundly helpful to me. The next direction I'm going is towards the foot, right? So you can wave your cat-cow back through center. Walk your paws or your pigeon feet or however you want to identify with them just now. And then coming more towards the foot of that right leg. And your movement of the spine doesn't have to be big. In fact, it might be really teeny. It might just be like baby cat, baby cow, like little kitten and little calf. Okay, now I'm walking my hands around to the right to lay my right shoulder down, to roll back onto my back, reorganize your pelvis on the bolster, and either knock your knees together with feet wide or take your two legs straight, whichever feels best. Make sure your lumbar is still happy, so wherever your bum is on the bolster, you can tweak that, right? Bend your two knees. Tip over to the left. And then I'm going to the right. So I made it so you could see me. And then the pigeon pose with the bolster under the left bum. Get your setup. How much of your left thigh on the bolster is a factor. Right? So you can have more or less left thigh. And then waving through cat-cow. Starting right in the middle. I'm a little too close to the wall, so I'm going to scooch back. Remember, adjusting for the right knee, safety and comfort. There should be no feedback from the knee in this scenario. Unless you feel just like outer thigh opening, spreading, and that might touch the thigh muscles close to the knee, but nothing in the knee joint. And walk this towards the knee, so take your waving cat-cows to the left. because it just feels so important to my body. You might start to cat-cow, wave your cat-cow over to the foot. I'm going there now. So taking the torso more to the right. And again, I'm reversing. And then this time when you're ready to undo, simply bend the back leg knee, I think it's your right knee, in towards the left heel. And then with your feet on the floor, spin around, move the bolster setup out of the way, and find your down dog. Any sort of padding or squiggling around of the feet and the hips that you would like to do here, go for it. Left leg straight back and up. Now, don't compromise the integrity of the right leg. So can you keep the right leg, you can come onto the toes, but keep the knees straight. Keep the lift through the low belly. And turn on the hamstring of the left leg and go for as much spread between the two heels as you can get. Left foot down, plank pose. Lift the flesh between the pubic bone and the navel. Back to down dog. And then the right leg goes straight back and up. And then taking your time to baby step your feet real slow. Roll through the ankles, roll through the feet, swoosh through your hips and bring your feet all the way up to where your hands are. Feet can be hip width apart here. And if it works for you, interlace your hands behind your hips. If you can't get the hands interlaced together, you could catch your belt and simply hold on to a piece of belt. But soften the elbows in either case so they're not locked out, so to speak. And then take those softly bent elbows towards the back of your head. Arms go to the back of your head. And then can you feel or allow the shoulder heads to sort of come forward towards your knees? And then swing them back towards the back body, shoulder blades together. And then shoulder blades apart as the shoulders roll towards your knees. And then squeeze them back. So this is like protraction and retraction of the shoulder blades. Keep it going on as you soften your knees. Roll shoulders forward, roll shoulders back. Come rolling on up. Roll shoulders forward, roll shoulders back. Up to stand. Roll shoulders forward, roll shoulders back. Keep hands interlaced behind, soft elbows. Easy standing position. And then shoulder shrug. Roll them up, back, and down. Forward, up, back, and down. Forward, up, back, and down. And you can certainly sort of sway the hips or sway the body. Just keep this action of the shoulders going. In fact, can you re-interlace the fingers so the other thumb is on top? Just switch it up right back there now. And then take arms out to the side. I'm going to turn around actually. And you can do whatever you want with your arms. But with your shoulder blades, right one goes up, out, down, and in. Left shoulder blade up, out, down, and in. So making like a big figure 8 with your shoulder blades. You can go pretty fast or pretty slow and let it sort of wind through the body. And I feel like one of those, I don't even know what they're called, those big fabric blow-up things that they put giant fans in that are like for car washes and stuff that are doing that. Be that. Bend forward, keep the shrugging and rolling of the shoulders and take your feet wide. And then let the shoulders get quiet and hands to the floor and the feet going, the knees and the hips rather going right to left. So swishy soft, swishy soft. And then the next time your weight's over on that left foot, go ahead and turn the right leg out, kick the left heel out, and then a triangle pose where the right hand lands on the ankle or a block, and then left hand on the hip, and start to simply turn the torso open to the side. You can soften and rebend the knees. Right shoulder blade moving away from the right ear. That left hip trying to stack on top of right hip. And then left arm long by your side. Slice it a little behind you and try to press that left hand down towards the floor behind you. Turn your nose away from it. Emphasize the length from nose to left thumbnail. Turn the left hip open to chase the left thumbnail. Keep the hips turned open. Start from neck and shoulder to bring left hand towards right foot. Keep hip open. So now we've got a similar thing we were doing on the floor. Left hand may not touch the floor ever. Certainly not right away. But left hand pulls arm, pulls shoulder, pulls ribs, pulls waist, pulls hips, and then turn the left leg. Both hands to the floor. Step your right foot back. Down dog. If you want both dogs, take them. If you want cats and cows, do that. And then take your time to baby elephant walk, I call it, just like the rolling through the feet, swishy hips, feet to hands. And then from your forward bend at the top of the mat, go ahead and shimmy the knees, shimmy the head, and keep the knee shimmy. Keep the alternate knee bend pretty quick. Let it shimmy the whole body. You can bend those knees and come rolling on up. And then keep the knee shimmy. Let the hips shake. Let your booty fat shake. Let the belly fat shake. Let all the things shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. And then pause. Well, that does something, doesn't it? Something delightful, in my opinion. Step left foot back and to the left. Wide stance, and soften your knees and turn left leg out, right leg in, and just a casual side bend. Left hand meets the ankle. Right hand on the hip. So take your time to straighten your legs. Sometimes I alternate. One knee straight, one knee bent, just to work on in. So I get the most sensation where my pelvis meets my side waist. A lot of people get big sensation in the inner thigh, maybe ankle of the front leg, and that's a whole nother phenomenon that I'm finding more and more in people's bodies. I have a theory about that. Go ahead and land in your Trikonasana. Stretch that right arm long beside you. Slide it a little behind you and then press it down behind you as you look to your left toes. So it's much length as you can find from nose to left thumbnail. From nose to outer right hip. A lot of length from left toe to left groin. And a lot of length from side waist of the right down to the outer right heel. Yay. Keep that right hip rolling back. Keep the hips turned open. And then let the neck and the chest and the right arm follow the nose and start to reach the right arm towards left toes, but the hips are turned open, just like we did on our backs. So now it's this slow sort of tug of war reach for the right hand to then pull right ribs and waist and hip, and then you turn the whole body to face the floor, both hands down, step back. Do whatever you want here. Both dogs, no dogs, cat, cow. I'm gonna just come down for a soft locust. We'll meet in down dog. And once again, baby elephant walk, feet to hands. This time, no funny business unless you want it. Go ahead and wiggle and shake if you want it. Otherwise, come rolling on up. Pause. Take a big step out to the right, so body facing the side of your mat, wide-legged, horse stance. And the hands are going to simply rest on the thighs. And refining the art of bending forward from here, keeping your hips low. It's sort of easy to take your head down and your booty up. Can you take both your head and your booty down? And then as you draw left shoulder to right knee, reorganize your left foot so it's like a warrior one foot. Also reorganize your right foot so your feet are in warrior one. Actually touch left shoulder to right knee. And then come rolling on up into warrior one. You could take your arms up. I'm simply keeping my hands on my thighs. And then as you come down, left shoulder to right knee. Swing back through your horse stance with head and hips low. Right shoulder to left knee as you reorganize the feet into warrior one. And then roll up warrior one. I'm leaving my arms out of it to keep the energy low. And then right shoulder to left knee. Switch it up. Left shoulder to right knee. Roll it up. Warrior one. Now the invitation is, if you can do it, exhale to switch. Inhale to the pose. Exhale to switch. Inhale into the pose. Keep going. left side. One more time each side. Is it getting easier? We could only wish for that, right? There are no guarantees. But certainly that acronym, mindfulness acronym, down dog, to overlay that careful consideration on what is up, what is here, do whatever you want here in the middle, can help to make relating easier, relating to what's here, hosting what's here easier. Doesn't make the things themselves easier, but maybe easier to include them. We'll meet in standing. When I get to standing, I'm going to shake again because, oh, I think it feels so good. Just shake it out. Okay, grab your 2 blocks. Top of the mat. Stand between them. Hands on hips. Right foot stays where it is. Step left foot back. About a leg's length. About a leg's length between your 2 feet. And with hands on hips, turn left hip towards right toes. So it's like warrior 1 stance, but legs are straight. Left hip keeps turning forward, but then take your navel back as you bow forward from your hip sockets. Catch your blocks. I'm going to back up. And then whatever you need to do with your blocks to have a lot of length in the front of your torso so that you're not rounding forward at the upper back. Not that that's bad, but I think we're doing a lot of that these days on our computers. So really exaggerate the reach of your collarbones forward. And then can you keep that deep belly and look for more and more length from the inner edge of your right toenail, big toenail, to the right side of your pubic bone. More and more and more length. So you pull the low belly back. Keep turning that left hip towards those right toes. And then let's make it a revolved triangle if you like. You could just stay with this simple shape or putting that left hand on a block or the floor to the outside of your right foot. And I'm not going to take my right arm up to the sky. I'm keeping hand on hip and twisting the spine. Spiraling the organs. Left lung sweeps under right lung. Left kidneys trying to wrap under to see the front of right kidney. And right kidneys rolling back, saying, catch me if you can. But can you put a little float in your left SI joint, left ovary, if you have one? Keep left ovary lifting, left SI joint lifting back. And then when you're ready, untwist, come up, bend right knee and casually step forward. Interlace hands behind. Stretch your elbows straight, but don't lock them out, right? And see if you can tell the difference. Like reaching through the knuckles, down behind you, pulling shoulder blades down without snapping the elbows into their full range of motion. I feel like that takes the opening out of the shoulders and puts it in the elbows. So maybe you want that, so you decide. Hard up, knuckles down, weight in the heels, kidneys up, hard up, kidneys up, hard up, face up, knuckles down, heels down. Front body nestling into back body, not a back bend as much as it is a face reach, throat lengthener. And then neutralize your spine. Step your right foot back, a full leg's length. You can do hands on hips here. Right leg is a little turned out, but the legs are adducted. It's a tricky stance, not the easiest. You keep turning that right hip forward towards the left toes, but hollow that belly back. Bow from your hips and find what you need to find in terms of support, blocks, tall end maybe, to really invite a lengthening from pubic disc, that's the middle of your two pubic bones, to like your front teeth. A lot of length from inner edge of your left big toenail to your left pubic bone. Stay here if you like, or twist it. Both SI joints stay really lifted, and you're gonna have to lift the right one a little more if you wanna make it a pure twist. If you let that right SI joint fall down, well, then you roll the spine, and you have to exhaust that before you can actually find the twist. So it's a hotly debated thing in yoga asana, and one isn't right or wrong. It's just how do you want to inhabit your twist. There's so much to be said about that. So just find your way. Recognize, allow, inquire, and non-attach. Like, I don't care what you do. I care about you. I care about you a lot. But I'm not attaching to how you're doing your revolved triangle. And then untwist, come on up. Turn the left toes around to the right. So you're facing the side of your mat again. And then from here, externally rotate right leg. Bend into that knee like a warrior two, but let's side angle. This time, however, before you go down, left hand, we did this Saturday, hooks into the right groin, or you just hold on to your pants or something behind you. And right arm along the inner leg. Right knee and left heel really reach apart. A little bit magnetize the 2 feet towards each other, so there's a gathering as well as a lengthening. Keep the legs as they are. Keep the left arm as it is. Torso up. Push that left hand down onto that right thigh bone if you've got the half bind, and then reach the right arm up away from it. I'm not necessarily side bending to the left as much as I am opening the right. Switch. Go on in. Go on down. Go on through. Pardon me. Right hand, whatever you got. If you've got the hand in the crease of your groin, or if you're simply grabbing a bunch of your pant fabric behind you, whatever you got, keeping that right arm back, can you tug it, slice it, push it to the right? So getting a little more length and spread in the right chest and shoulder. Feet magnetize, left knee, right heel, repel. Keep legs as they are, torso up. Right hand stays where it is. Left arm up. I'm gonna see if I can see the clock. Not really. Lengthen left side. And then straighten, turn 10 toes straight ahead. Both hands interlace behind. One more time, straight down. Prasarita Padottanasana, soft elbows. Strong, straight legs.
Roll the weight forward while you keep your heels clearly spiked down. You tease the weight forward so that the thighs lift up, thighs light up, thighs keep you from rolling forward. One more thing down here, release your hands, soften your knees. Left hand catches the right leg, so reach it across and hold on to the outer ankle if you can. I know that you might not be able to get there, so catch where you can. And then the right hand comes to the outer right leg too, but higher up. So right hand's above left hand, they both have the outer right leg. And then bend your left knee more as you straighten your right leg. Pull the torso with your left hand towards this right leg, and you bend your left knee away from it. So left hand pulls, right hand pushes, all in the interest of your left nipple and your right knee having a rendezvous. It's like, oh, hello, I haven't seen you in so long. Like all of you, I haven't seen you in so long. Switch sides when you're ready. You might need to do a little respite in the middle. Maybe cat-cow your spine, or the front lineman asana as I call it, with knees bent and arms down in front of you. And then right hand swings all the way across, catches maybe as low as the ankle. Holding the outer left leg, left hand on the outer left leg also, left hand higher. Straighten left leg, pull torso towards left leg, right knee bends a lot. Left hand pushes, right hand pulls. Keep bending right knee. Okay. Come on up and out and bring your legs right together. Okay, catch your blanket. If it's easy to do, please fold your mat, maybe not quite in half, but make it so you've got some floor behind you. So maybe you don't have to fold your mat at all. And the blanket sort of in that skinny rectangular fold can work well here. Ideally you have a slidey surface. If you do not have a slidey surface, then no blanket required. But everyone, legs out in front of you. And for those of you who cannot slide, if you simply put your hands behind you with your fingertips pointing back, elbows bent. That's going to be the hardest thing. It always is. I can't see you, but inevitably people don't bend their elbows here. So please bend your elbows. And then squeeze shoulder blades back. And then what you can do is slowly inch your bum away from those bent elbows. And you just have to hang out and do that. Those of us who can slide, hold the blanket with the fingers turned back. Bend your effing elbows. And then slide back as much as you can. And then forward. And back and forward and back and forward. So how much the heart stays lifted is directly related to how, what your shoulders do. So we did this in the very beginning, not the very beginning of class, but the arms behind and like shoulder heads forward, shoulder heads back, shoulder heads forward. So that same play can certainly come into this action. Elbows bent. And maybe you step the hands closer and closer together. That's what I'm doing on my blanket. Stepping them closer and closer together. You could certainly bend your knees. It's about the shoulders, so make it work for the shoulders. No pain, but there might be fatigue. There might be discomfort, but don't do anything that hurts or pinches or pops or any of that stuff. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Paschimottanasana. So if you need a blanket under your bum, put it right under there. And then coming forward any amount with your hands. If your hands don't get to the floor, grab your blocks. But let's take this like 2/3 or halfway down position and walk your hips back. So one butt cheek at a time, walk back. The hands stay where they are in theory. So this like navel back, ovaries back, let that simply walk you into your postureo. And you may have stopped long before I did. So any amount the collarbones can stay afloat here, and the face can sort of be the furthest thing forward other than your hands and feet, as if your nose could pass your toes. Press the thigh bones down into the earth. Really firm up and straighten out the knees. You could pull, so some of you might have a belt here. Pulling on the belt, pulling with your arms, heart towards your feet. So get a strong pull action. It's rare to get in yoga. Pull, pull, pull. Oh, so inviting for some. Come on up. We'll unfold our mats in a minute, but have knees bent, feet on floor, feet hip width, hands behind you with the fingers turned back. And we'll start with the right hand staying on the floor, left hand behind your head. Soften your right elbow to start. And then can you get your hips up off the floor any amount? And if the answer is yes, then explore lifting the hips up, twisting towards the right hand, left elbow to sky, and then maybe wrap or open left elbow to the chest. Keep your right elbow soft. You're really working a lot of strength there. Not the elbow, but the arm. And then retwist to lower the hips. Switch it up. So you can look towards the left hand as you come up. And then decide, left elbow is bent. That's hopefully decided. But you decide how much you want to send the left hip up and open torso. Keep left shoulder blades scooped towards the back of the heart and a lot of length from your breastbone to the shoulder head. Not so much length between spine and shoulder blade. First side again if you wish it. I'm going to make a little quicker. Exhale, down and switch. Second side again, inhale. Exhale, down and switch. Inhale up. Exhale, down and switch. Inhale up. Exhale, down and shift. One more each side. Inhale up. And then flip on over, straddle your mat, unfold your mat, and you could come to sit on your heels and just pause for a second. You could also come to Shavasana and rest. I want to do shoulder stand. I'm going to do shoulder stand. And I want to do it a certain kind of way that requires the bolster. So here's the deal. You could do legs up the wall, I'm going to do one more thing after shoulder stand. You could also be done. You could be done now. Namaste. Thank you. I love you. Legs up the wall or shoulder stand any way you want. Or shoulder stand this way, where you catch the bolster and fold some of your sticky mat over it so it can sort of cover the whole bolster. Now the way I'm going to go in is a little advanced. So you could watch and then be like, oh hell no, and then do it however you want. I don't know if this one may not be easier than it looks. There's plenty of things that are way easier than they look, but I don't think this is one. There's a pretty significant risk of falling over. So if you've got a good wide-legged forward bend, probably not too difficult to go in this way. You got to step your hands towards the other side of the setup. Tuck your chin, bend your knees, and now I'm looking for the bolster behind me. So this is where people fall, they do a total forward roll and they keep going. So don't do that. So once you've got your shoulders landed, you could step your feet together. Now you're in plow pose, and you catch the sides of your sticky mat and shove them, sides of your sticky mat towards your feet as you take your legs up. I'm going to readjust where I am on the bolster. So I'm coming down to readjust. Get your shoulders behind you and under you. And use the tension of the sticky mat in your arms to bring yourself up. So it's like a Niralamba. You might have enough support behind you to bring your hands back. I'm going to be up here for 4 minutes. At least that's my intention. I might not make it. Subtle little variations, taking the feet wider than your hips. Baddha Konasana feet, pubis higher than your tail. Ekapada. First half is gravity, second half is a little strength, a little action, a little effort. Bottom leg doesn't have to touch. Switch. Then, if you can, I'm keeping Ekapada, getting my hands really underneath me. Hands on the back, one leg back, one leg forward. You can either keep hands on back or grab or like touch the floor behind you and use that to sort of help you undo here. Come on out, try to find a soft landing. Both feet on floor, squiggle towards your head So your hips or your lumbar are on the bolster. And now we're sort of in a position like we started. Sort of. But a lot has changed. For me, for the better. So I got one more thing. You could be done here. Namaste. Thank you. I love you. Otherwise, if you want it, roll to your side. Come on out. Unfold the stuff. And then with your 2 blocks, lay them end to end on your mat. So your makeshift bolster. And then you put your blanket over it. And then you use your other bolster or your couch pillows, your other 5 blankets or whatever you have. And lay it crossways on top. So cross bolster technique. And I've got it almost so it's like half of the bolsters on one side. Not quite. It's more like 49.50 or 49.51 or 48.52 in terms of how much percent. Head towards the shorter side. Sit on the bolster. Lay back. And what I want to do is I want to catch the neck on the edge of the bolster. So now the back of my head is on the floor, top of the back of the head. So my neck, throat, face are open and back. So this is not a chin tuck back bend. This is not a bridge pose. We did that. We did that in the shoulder stand, right? So now this is full front body opening. Arms can either be out to the side or on your body or catch opposite elbows. Take arms overhead. And then simply land in this gentle back bend spreader. And this is it. You know, you might feel like you could land here and be here for the next 40 years. I sure do. Just recognizing that this feels amazing. I'm going to allow the amazing feeling and inquire, like, yeah, the work that I've been doing, the structure of my day yesterday wore me out, and so this feels really helpful. And then not attaching, not putting any judgment on how I made my choices yesterday, not letting my choices today feed my ego, just like, yeah, this is true. Knowing what is the reality of your down on the ground truth, and let that be your starting point. If you would like Shavasana, you got a couple options here. You could bend your knees, roll off the bolster to the side, or bend your knees and sort of rock yourself up. Clear your mat, lay down. You could stay in that supported back bend. Make yourself comfortable. Let go of all the things you can let go of. If you need the things you're holding on to, keep them. But if you can let go, let go. And please take good care. Thank you. I love you.